hopping on.
Bum, bum,
bump,
ba-da-dum, bum, bum.
bump.
Bring. We got lasers.
Where's our faces?
Where's our faces?
Our
Still hanging out in
faces
the
are-
looking
ether
at the-
somewhere.
We can just keep looking at the blue review sign if we'd like. Oh, it's going again.
It's looping. It's looping. We are here.
There you
Trust
go.
me. There we
Hey,
are.
there we are.
All right,
Hey.
finally. A little bit of a slow start for the graphics this morning. I guess a little bit of a long weekend. for the graphics.
Lasers.
We do get lasers and all of that because the Dodgers are winners, at least in game one of the NLDS. Welcome to the Blue Review presented by LAX. I'm Marcus Grant with Greg Bergman and Parker Bell. And we were talking before the show. This is a big Bergman sports weekend, man. It was a good weekend for you.
This was a great weekend for me. We're not going to talk about the Raiders, but although I picked against them and picks against the spread with Sedano Cap, so that kind of helped me. It was a great weekend. I got the UCLA win over Penn State, which was shocking and incredibly fun to watch because that doesn't happen. And by the way, just real fast, this is for you, Marcus. Tim Skipper, the interim head coach of the UCLA Bruins, has more top 10 wins than Lincoln Riley does at USC.
Thanks.
One.
Hey, look, Lincoln Riley is approaching Clay Helton territory, but we don't want to talk about that right now. So anyway,
Yeah.
continue.
The other portion of it, the more important, sorry to throw a little shot at you there first thing in the morning. The other part about it is the BPP is in full effect here, baby. The BPP is working to the exact extent that it was supposed to. It may not be working fully, but they're doing it. They are in on it. They did it on game 2 against the Reds with Emmett Sheehan. They did it on Saturday with Tyler Glasnow. And I would assume you're probably going to see Clayton Kershaw tonight, especially if they are leading. So big weekend for Bergman.
Who's down with BPP?
Who's
guys?
down with
Come on.
BPP?
Yeah, you know me.
Yeah, I love the idea that it's broken contain. You know, I mean, look, reality. The Dodgers have probably talked about this for a long time, but I like to think that it's because somebody in the front office was watching this show and pulled the idea from Greg. That's the way I'm gonna
Has to,
interpret
right?
this.
Yeah, it's the only
It's
logical explanation.
the only logical explanation for it.
It's the only thing that makes sense. And maybe because Mario Lopez is someone that has some access. Maybe he liked the BPP on Instagram, so that was a weird thing to get there. That was a weird notification. Mario Lopez.
Did not
AC
think
Slater
AC Slater
likes
was
this?
going to make it to the show today, but okay, here we are. Here we are. Anybody know how Zach Morris feels about this show? Somebody reach out to Mark Paul
I
Gosselaar.
don't know, but that one I'd probably be a little bit more excited about that one. If Kelly Kapowski was like, "Oh, I love it,"
well, then it's a
that'd be
wrap
great.
if Kelly Kapowski likes it.
Yeah.
Without a doubt.
Yep.
We got a lot to talk about. Obviously, the Dodgers get a 5-3 win in game 1 of the series. We'll get into that. Also, look forward to game 2 tonight. But first, want to give a shout out to the folks at LAX, as always, transforming the travel experience, saving guest time. For more information, you can go to flylax.com/transforminglax. So Saturday, I guess the big thing for me, there's a lot of stuff to talk about. We can get into Shohei and his pitching performance, but it sort of ties into what I'm going to ask you, Parker. Sometimes I think Teoscar Hernandez is playing for both teams, but in the end, he seems to do more to benefit the Dodgers than the other team. That game on Saturday was sort of the two sides of the Teoscar coin, it felt like.
I mean, it's dramatic. Being a Teo fan is dramatic. You get the ups, you get the downs, but the ups are usually higher than the downs. So I guess that's the best you can ask for. I know that his mentality, he was talking after the game, is just, I throw my mistakes in the trash and dust it off. And I mean, okay, it's just if maybe you could lessen those mistakes, especially when it costs 2 runs. If there's nobody on base and it happens, Dodgers fans and just baseball fans alike will go, okay, it happens. You're not the best defender, blah, blah, blah. But when there's 2 men on, you really got to lock in, and you can't, there's no excuse for lack of effort. And that's what that miscue was. I know we'll get into just some of the rest of the game, but to quickly get through this part, it's just a lack of effort. I mean, he was jogging. I sent the gift to the text chain the day of, is just Mickey Mouse whistling and strolling across the street.
Yeah.
Hey, Oscar, this is the NLDS, man. I mean, I appreciate you locking in on the plate, but if you could lock in on the field, that'll make a lot of us feel a lot better, because we already got some stress when it comes to the bullpen, and at least we didn't have to deal with that time, Berg.
Yeah. So the thing about that, Marcus, was also that this is obviously not the first time this season, but it's not the first time in the playoffs. He did it. He
Right.
dropped the ball for Yamamoto on Wednesday and had to go give him a hug. Again, he made up for it there, but then now he's running. I assume that he thought Andy Pajes was right behind him to pick that up, but he was not moving very quickly. And then he did make up for it later, but it's 2 games in a row now that he's made little blunders in there. And I think Jeff Spiegel's going to be joining any second now, but he made these little blunders in right field, and that's going to cause you games. That could have cost them the game on Saturday. Luckily, he came back and hit that big 3-run home run, but at the same time, you can't do that. You just can't do it. Yeah. And I got it on Twitter all over the place. I said 2 of those runs were Teoscar's fault, and everybody, like, I got killed for it. And just being like, oh, it's because most people see it like 17 hours later and go, why are you so negative? Bro, he gave up 2 runs. Hi, Jeff.
Jeff Spiegel with us.
My effort this morning was Teoscar in right field levels. So we're gonna try and by the end get to a 3-run home run somewhere here, but this one's on me, guys.
All right. Well, we're going to have you. Sometimes your best ability is your availability, and the fact that you're here is a big plus here. So we were discussing. Obviously, you can figure it out. The duality of man that is Teoscar Hernandez. I guess at this point, Jeff, I just think we just have to live with this, right? Like, we want it to be better, but there's certainly no chance he's not going to be in the lineup. We just have to sort of hope the mistakes, when they come, aren't deadly right now.
Totally. And ironically, the drop fly ball, you can make a case, was the worst play he's made all season. And this one optically was in the top 3 to 5. So the hard part for him is, like, yes, we know he's been bad, but somehow the 2 that he has made in the 3 biggest games they've had all year have been like 2 of the worst. So look, I guess as long as it's 2 runs on the defensive side and 3 runs on the offensive side, we just live with it. But I'm with Parker. Like, can we just pretend like just pretend, make it look like you're trying hard? That's all we're asking for out there.
Yeah, and it's so I went when it happened, had the game on, and then had to was pulled away. My attention was pulled away. There's like a Nintendo Switch emergency that I had to fix or something, being IT at the house, and I come back and it's 2-0, and JT Realmuto is standing on third base, and I see the replay and groaned out loud because I don't know what else to do about it. But on the other side of that, Greg, so it ends up costing Shohei an extra run, right? He gives up the hit, which was probably going to score at least 1, probably 2, just because of where the ball was placed. But it ends up costing a third because Realmuto gets to third base and ends up scoring on the Harrison Bader sac fly. But after that, beyond that, inning number 1, and then the rest of the outing after that, Shohei was lights out. The run of great starting pitching has continued for this team because Shohei just stepped in and shook that off and just kind of mowed down the Phillies the rest of the way.
Yeah, Shohei was absolutely phenomenal in that game. Yes, in the second inning, he did allow a couple of runs. Hearts. And right, and obviously because of the tail thing we were just talking about, but he was so good and just striking dudes out. 9 strikeouts, just keeping them off balance. He wasn't really giving up that much, and you just feel very comfortable when he's on the mound every single time, game in and game out. And I can't, there's not enough you can say about Shohei Ohtani. And we try to do it every single time on the show, but it's every time we come on the show, he does something more and more amazing. For his very first postseason start, he was great. And to your point about the starting pitching, now you got Snellzilla today, and he's been nothing but almost like close to perfect. So I don't want to jinx him or anything, but the starting pitching has just been so good.
Jeff, we mentioned it at the start of the show. It does seem like, Greg's BPP, the Bergman piggyback plan, has broken contain. We saw it against the Reds. We saw it on Saturday. Is this really the thing? All I see in the corner, I see the monitor, and Greg is sort of dancing like a Muppet. It's hilarious.
Because I'm excited.
Jeff, is this real? Are we really seeing the piggyback plan in action?
I'm trying. It's really early in the morning for me to decide if I want to rain on Greg's parade here and just zag for the sake of zagging. Does 1 to 1.2 innings count as a piggyback, Greg?
But 2 games in a row. They did it with Emmett Sheehan. He didn't make it work, but the idea and the thought process was there. And then Glasnow going 1 2/3. Yes, the idea and the thought process was there. So they're going to do it. I bet you they do it today with Kershaw if they have a lead.
You think Kershaw pitches today?
Where else would he pitch?
I think we talked about this on our show last night. I think Kershaw is a break glass in case of emergency guy where he's off to the side in case they decide to come back to Glasnow at some point this series and need somebody to start game 4, would be my guess. Like I'm skeptical that he gets used even potentially at all in this series because of the off days and that kind of a thing. So look, we talked a little bit last night. I'll say this about Dave. We all know he takes a lot of crap. Like he managed pretty much perfectly as far as I'm concerned in game 1 of this series. I love the aggressiveness to go with Glasnow, to ask his guy to do something uncomfortable, to convince him that it was the right thing to do, to go to Vesia and then to Roki in the spots that he went to. Like, I just thought that was Dave Roberts at his best. Not only the decisions he made, but having the buy-in from the guys to go out and do it. And so I think they're going to need some more traditional bullpen outs at some point in this series. Maybe it's game 2, maybe it's game 3. But I think the good news with this setup, and this is what we've talked a little bit about, is whether these weird off days are actually better for the Dodgers and the Phillies. And I argued for a while it was better for the Phillies because they only have 3 starting pitchers and they're going to be able to get through the whole series on normal rest with 3 guys. But for the Dodgers, you only kind of need 3 or 4 relievers to get through this entire series because of all the off days. And so maybe it's advantage Dodgers that we're never going to have to see the back half of the Dodgers bullpen, the lesser half, I should say, of the Dodgers bullpen. That's assuming there is a better half, but the lesser half of the Dodgers bullpen.
Well, I mean, to that point, though, Parker, you talk about the back half of the bullpen. You talk about the better half of the bullpen. I'm ready to, for the moment at least, crown Roki Sasaki as the closer. I mean, he, for my money, is the 9th inning guy. I mean, I know it's a small sample size, but it's been a really good sample size, and he looked great. I mean, when he gave up the hit, he shook it off. He got through the inning and, locked it down. So I don't know about you guys. I'm ready to hand Roki the ball in the 9th inning now.
Yeah, we're all Shohei when Roki goes up to pitch. We're all just like that proud dad, just hoping for the best, and he has absolutely delivered. It's so exciting watching this kid. I mean, he's a 23-year-old, a rookie, coming up in the biggest moments, and he's absolutely shoving. The stuff looks great. The mechanics looks great. I have nothing negative to say about Roki. He's been a godsend because this kid could really take the Dodgers to the next level and to the World Series, just purely based off the fact that, I mean, he's been one of the best pitchers in his league, all throughout his life. He's been like the best pitcher, and now he's showing why. Earlier this season was just a fluke, just a little couple tweaks and minor injuries that he was dealing with. He's here to stay, and he might actually have a larger discussion of where does he stay in the future, because he could be one of the most dominant closers if he continues to stay like this.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's an interesting offseason conversation for sure. I still lean toward they're probably going to make him a starter because, man, you got stuff like that. I want to see it for 6-7 innings if I possibly can. But for now, I'm totally fine there. So I do ask you, because if you don't think Kershaw goes tonight, and I did see in the chat somebody suggesting that maybe they save him for the home games or something like that. But, let's, for sake of argument, say, Snell goes 6 innings, they have a 2-run lead. Is it, obviously I know situationally something, but is it a Bonda Vesia type situation, or
Sheehan?
is it Emmett Sheehan coming back again?
For me, I want to try and get every single out with Alex Vesia, Blake Trinan, and Roki Sasaki. Like, if I can get to a world where those 3 guys get me 9 outs, then I'm good. That's I would try my hardest to not have to use any pitchers other than those 3. If it's a guy like Bonda or Jack Dreyer in a specific situation where you've got 2 outs and a lefty up or something, sure. But I'm to a point where, like, going back to the Roki conversation briefly, what I think is so fantastic about Roki is I think Vesia and Trinan are at their best when they can be in the fireman role, where it's Vesia comes into a spot and Trinan comes into a spot. And I think they weren't able to do that because they didn't have an answer to who was going to be finishing the game at the end. But I think Roki makes total sense with give the guy a clean inning, and let him go shove. By the way, 9 of 11 pitches for strikes. Thank goodness for our bullpen learning how to throw strikes. But Treinen and Vesia feel like those are the guys that come in when there's trouble. Vesia comes in with the bases loaded, no need for extra cans of Red Bull, and the guy's lights and gets the outs he needs. So I'm just to a point, off days every single day except for in between game 3 and 4. Those 3 guys, every single game in this series, just that's who I trust. And if Snell can get me 6+, then let's make it work, Greg. Let's just piece those 3 pieces together. The other guys all give me reasons to doubt. All 3 of those guys right now, I trust.
I just can't trust any of those guys. I mean, Roki, of course, you trust, and he's the closer, and he's amazing. But when it comes to Vesia and Treinen, there's a reason that those guys are coming in with either the bases juice or guys on base with only 1 out. They're only being asked to get 1 out. So they're not asking to pitch an inning right now. It's just not what they're doing. They're going to other guys. They're going to Glasnow and to Sheehan, and I just can't. I don't think there's any trust in Dave Roberts for Vesia, for Treinen, Tanner Scott, whoever who you're thinking of that is in the bullpen. There's no trust in those guys except for 1 singular out. And I know why I understand why you trust them for past success, but they have not done enough recently to give me that trust. Vesia is also, he got hit. I mean, it was a deep fly ball. Like luckily it was not a home run or close to a home run, but like he's given up, like he was barreled. It just didn't go out of the park. So, I just don't feel great about any of those dudes, and not because I'm trying to push my PPP plan more so, but I just don't trust them. And Sheehan, I think I still do trust, even though he had a bad outing. I think
than all of them.
He did. That was the first time, and I think he was a little bit nervous. And I do want to see it again, especially now that you have 1-0 lead. I feel like you can the goal is always to win 1 on the road and then win at least win your games at home. So you have a little bit of a cushion to at least try Sheehan again to see if he can look like the pitcher he was all year long. That's how I feel.
Maybe the most disheartening thing you said in there, though, was about, the guys coming in, having Treinen, Vesia, et cetera, come in with men on base and sort of be that fireman, whereas like you felt less confident with them coming in and starting a clean inning, which
I'm saying give Roki the clean inning. Like, I'm fine with those guys coming into clean innings. I'm just saying, like, if it's a spot where you're in a jam, you can use, okay, who's up, lefty, righty, who's the matchup, Vesia or Treinen. Whereas I think in the past, you've had to go to maybe a different pitcher in that spot because Vesia or Treinen was your answer to how am I going to get the last 3 outs of the game. If you have that question answered, it allows those guys to move up in the game and be more sort of strategically placed so that Abanda can get a clean inning or Dreyer can get a clean inning or heaven forbid, Tanner Scott gets a clean inning type of a thing.
By the way, the best trend going around TikTok right now is young Dodgers fans in the late innings going to their dad and pranking them saying, "Oh my gosh, Tanner Scott's warming up." And all the dads are just like flipping the kids off.
If my daughter did that to me, I would be like, "Riley, what the?" Not really. I'd be like, "That wasn't funny. That wasn't funny."
That sounds like get back for all the TikTok videos of parents stealing their kids' Halloween candy.
Yeah.
Oh man, that was so funny though. The other way, it's hilarious.
Right, of course, right? Comedy. Is what is it? What's the Mel Brooks line? Comedy, you fall in a manhole, open manhole, very funny. Tragedy, I get a paper cut. Like that's how the whole thing works. So anyway, let's get back to actually let's look forward because we only got a few minutes left to tonight's game. It's going to be Blake Snell, as we mentioned, going against Jesus Luzardo, who the Dodgers didn't see Luzardo in that most recent series, correct? Did they? They
saw him twice this year. Okay. He dominated them at the beginning of the season, and they got to him the second of the season, I believe.
Okay. But another left-hander in the lineup. I presume, Jeff, we're gonna see Max Muncy. I know that was sort of a thing.
People don't like me for this one.
Okay, what's that? What is it? I'm curious.
I just don't understand. I was very frustrated with Alex Call over Max Muncy, and I knew what all the splits were, and I knew how bad Max Muncy has looked. I'm just like, I guess that's a spot where I'm a name recognition guy, and I trust Muncy in a big spot. Because all the people telling me, well, Alex Call, it's against lefties, Muncy's look terrible. I'm like, okay, so is the decision then to just bench Max Muncy for the entire series? Because it's going to be lefties every single game. So look, Call, and to be fair, I was wrong. Alex Call 1-for-1 with a walk. So he reached base twice. We know he's an upgrade in defensively. There's been some talk Matt Moreno suggested do they go to actually Miguel Rojas instead? And does Miguel Rojas get into the game? Tommy Edman at second, Rojas at third. And then, so I think there's a lot of different ways that this could play itself out. Kike would then be in left. So it's confusing to me because of who Max Muncy has been. And yet it makes perfect sense based on the last 3 weeks of Max Muncy that we've seen.
But I was with you on that. When I saw that it was Call over Muncy, I was kind of surprised. I was figuring, well, okay, if you're not going to start him, what's the point of having him? Because you're going to face pretty much nothing but left-handed pitching. You're going to face nothing but left-handed starters for sure. So if you're not trusting Muncy against left-handers, it doesn't make sense to really have him on the playoff roster. So I was kind of with you on that one. And yeah, look, I'm glad that we saw Alex Call get on base, make things happen. I was fine with that, but it just didn't make a lot of sense. And I guess it also sort of confuses me because Dave Roberts is very big on the whole, like, I'm trusting my guys. Yeah. I have the veteran deference. So you would think that he would lean toward a guy who's been with him for a while versus, a guy that just got here a couple of months ago. But
totally.
I digress.
And the other piece of this, not to be the question asker, is what do they do with Will Smith today, who played the second half of game number 1? Did not get a hit. We know Ben Rortvedt has been productive, has been able to lay down a bunt when they've needed him to. Obviously, defensively has been good. Will Smith, defense wasn't a problem. Nobody tried to steal on him. Maybe that was more situational than anything else. But whether Will Smith starts today is the other interesting question, I think. Something to look for.
Yeah, definitely going to be keeping an eye out for that, seeing what his availability is going to be. Side note to this, do we see if Will Smith can go and Rortvedt's playing well, do we see Dalton rushing at all in this series?
Nope.
Minus some sort of, emergency situation. I don't envision seeing Dalton rushing at all.
You'd have to go through a lot of pinch hitters off the bench before you would get to Dalton rushing. I don't think he's necessarily last on that list. But I think he'd pinch hit before Rortvedt, and then Rortvedt would just come in for him afterwards, something like that.
I was going to say, I feel like Justin Dean is probably well down the list at this point too. Yeah. Who's strictly there for defensive purposes at this point. So I don't know. I think we lost Greg. He
I believe
vanished.
He got kicked out because
of
here he is.
There you are.
We can't see his face, but he's here. But yeah, Greg, thoughts on tonight's game?
It's also enough for us because we're pretty much out of time. Jeff, I know you guys are doing live shows after the game. I assume you guys are on this evening, right?
Yes, I will not be a part of it, but we will. We also have a Steven Nelson interview dropping this morning. Got the chance to chat with him yesterday in Philadelphia. So I know he's a communal R guy, and that was a fun one. So check that one out this morning.
He really is one of our guys. I love the fact that he speaks in memes and internet talk, and he confuses the heck out of, Oral Hershiser and Rick Monday, and it's always sort of amusing when that happens.
Chapman Thomas.
So there it is. That'll do it for this edition of the Blue Review. We appreciate you guys in the chat hanging out. I did see something asking us to talk about the elephant in the room, which is Teo in right field, which I would suggest go back to the beginning of the episode because that's what the whole thing was about, the first few minutes. Teo in right field. But we'll be back with you tomorrow, of course, to talk about Game 2 and get you ready for Game 3 as well. But stick around. Luzardo and Cap Morning Extravaganza coming up here in the ESPN LA YouTube channel. Thanks to LAX as well. So For Parker Bell, for Jeff Spiegel, for Greg Bergman out there in the ether, I've been Marcus Grant. See you tomorrow, 6:30 to 6:55 here on the Blue Review on the ESPN LA YouTube channel. See ya.
See you. Thank you, Jeff.